Hi Room 10, this is Mrs. Pattison, and I've made a video for you guys to go over while you're on spring break and enjoying your time off, so you guys can be ready to talk about food groups when we come back to school on Monday. Now you might be wondering, what are food groups? Now food groups are the categories that the food we eat fall into. So we have our grains, we have our fruits, we have our vegetables, our proteins or meats, and we have our dairy. We also have the most delicious category, fat and sugar, but it's a very small portion of what we should eat because we want to stay as healthy as we can. Now the government actually created a really cool graphic. It's called My Plate, which is right here, and it shows you a plate and what the food groups are and how much of each food group you should eat during your meals, which is really awesome, and we're going to use that to talk about each of our food groups today. Now the first food group we're going to talk about is fruit, which is right here. It's just a little part of our plate. It's little because a lot of the fruits that we eat have a lot of natural sugars in them, so we don't want to eat too many. But any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts as part of the fruit group. So fruits can be fresh, canned, frozen, or dried, and may be whole or cut up. And some example of fruits that you might eat are apples, bananas, cherries, grapes, limes, pears, oranges, peaches, or one of my favorites, pineapple. Okay, the next food group we're going to talk about is vegetables, which is this huge portion of our plate. It takes up a pretty big part of our plate here. Now, vegetables are really good for you because they have a lot of good carbs that help give you energy to keep going and growing as a kid. So any vegetable, or you could do 100% vegetable juice, counts as a member of the vegetable group. Now you can eat vegetables raw, or you can eat them cooked. So some vegetables that you might eat would be broccoli or lettuce, maybe in a salad, corn, green beans, peas, artichokes, asparagus, celery, cucumbers, squash. There are a ton of vegetables, and they're all really good for you, and they're all delicious. And next we're going to talk about grains, which takes up another pretty big section of our plate. So grains are any food that's made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain is a grain product. So that could be like bread, you could have toast, pasta, like in spaghetti, oatmeal, my favorite breakfast. A lot of breakfast cereals have grains, tortillas, and grits are all examples of grain products. Okay, next we're talking about meats, which are all food made from meat. So poultry, which is chicken, seafood, which is fish, and then also beans and eggs and nuts. They're all considered part of the protein food group because they have a lot of protein in them. Let's see. Some of the meats or protein you guys might eat would be steak, ham, pork, bacon, my favorite, fish, chicken nuggets, some eggs or nuts. And next we're going to talk about dairy, which is shown in the little cup on the side of our plate. So dairy is all fluid milk products, and many foods made from milk are considered part of the food group. Now, on the myplate.gov website, they did say that most of your dairy choices should be fat-free or low-fat because a lot of the dairy products have a lot of fat in them. So some you might drink would be milk, or you could eat some yogurt for breakfast, or even cheese as a snack, which is one of my favorites. And you just want to keep it small. That's why it's shown on as the cup on our little plate graphic. And lastly, Miss Pattison's favorite food group, even though it's very bad for you, the fat and oils, which is not shown on the My Plate graphic because you're not supposed to eat a lot of these. If you want to stay healthy, you can have these, but don't eat too much. So this would be all the really unhealthy foods, like cake or candy, fried food, pizza, pretty much all the yummy things that we really shouldn't eat very much of. Okay, so let's review. We just learned about the 6 food groups. We have our fruits, we have our vegetables, we have our grains or our bread, our meats and protein, our dairy, and the ever-delicious fats and oils. Now I want you to make sure that you can watch this and rewind and pause as many times as you need to. Go ahead and write down any questions that you might think of so you guys can bring them to class on Monday and ask me before we start talking about how we can separate the foods that we all eat into the food groups. I hope you guys have a great spring break, and I can't wait to see you guys on Monday.